All right, let's talk Nebraska Cornhuskers. You're tied for first place in the Big Ten West. Nebraska Cornhuskers off after a dominating victory over Purdue, excuse me. And look, this is a Nebraska football team. 2 games into the regular season, wasn't looking good. Blew the game against Minnesota. Got dominated by a Colorado team that we now know isn't that great in its own right. But Matt Rhule has these guys playing well. We're seeing the talent. We're seeing the coaching slowly work its way back onto the field. And I think it's important to understand what Matt Rhule has done already so early in his time. And we've got a tweet to highlight that, or I guess a post on X, whatever it's called these days. Mice, if you can throw it up and I'll read from it. So this is from the College Football Report. And here's, I think, a very interesting analysis that I did here. First-year Nebraska head coaches, first 8 games. Matt Rhule, 5-3 in a so-called dumpster situation. I agree. This roster, total massive overhaul. Scott Frost did not leave it in a good place. Scott Frost's first 8 games, 2-6. He was not good. Mike Riley, 3-5, inherited a great situation. I agree. Bo Pelini did a pretty good job building the roster. Bo Pelini, mentioning him, was also 5-3. He finished 66-27 overall. Do not think he should have ever been fired, but that was obviously a discussion for a past day. I think Matt Rhule is clearly getting this program in the right direction. We're seeing the way they're playing defense. We're seeing the way they play physical. Look, if you look at after their 0-2 start, they won 5 of the last 6. Their only defeat was at the hands of the second best team in the country, the Michigan Wolverines. I think this Nebraska football team is trending in the right direction. This is what Matt Rhule does. He's a turnaround artist, and we're seeing it work already for this Cornhuskers program. Myers, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but before I hand it over to you, Nebraska fans, you got another winnable game against a downtrodden Michigan State program coming up this Saturday. Give us your prediction, final score, Spartans versus Huskers, in the comment section below. But Miles, what's your feeling about Nebraska right now? I think they've got a real chance here to maybe finish with 7-ish wins and go to a decent bowl game.
Oh, yeah, and I think they're potentially 8+ wins because you look at the rest of the schedule. Michigan State, like you said, Maryland's kind of tough, Wisconsin's kind of tough, Iowa's kind of tough, but I feel like they have a good chance to win at least 2 more of those games outside of Michigan State. I mean, this is a team playing really good. Like you mentioned, slow start to the season. What's the difference, though? The new quarterback, Harburg, comes in. He's playing great. He's a threat with his legs. He's already run for 400+ yards. You know, he's a great passer, 800+ yards through the air. I think this team was completely different ever since Sims got out of the picture there. So I think those first two games probably have a different result if Harburg starts out the season at quarterback. But Matt Rhule has done a fantastic job building this roster in just one season, Nick. I think it's been really good thus far. They've looked really good. And like you said, I think there's a shot they get to a big-time bowl game. I think this is a good program right now. And this is just a very brief moment into the rebuild. I think we're looking 2 years from now. This is a team talking about Big Ten title contenders, at least going to the Big Ten title game. I think there's a realistic shot that this team could make it there. Yes, Ohio State's good. Yes, Michigan's good, and Penn State is good. But you're on the other side of things from them. They are in the East. You are in the West. I think there's a shot that this is one of the favorites to potentially come out of here, get into the Big Ten conference championship. So, I mean, Nick, this team is very, very good. I think people didn't give them a lot of credit at the beginning of the season. Colorado loss was tough. They're starting to heat up now, and I think the Matt Rhule effect is completely in play right now.
And it's not perfect. It's ugly at times. Obviously, the 4 turnovers against Purdue, only attempting 11 passes, right? That's not really what your program, the direction you wanted to end up in. But here's the reality. You still won the game by 17 points. You clearly dominated the entire matchup from start to end for all intents and purposes. And this is exactly what Matt Rhule does. But I think I kind of see where you're going here, but I think he's almost a year ahead of schedule because his first year at Baylor and his first year at Temple in 2013, he was 2-10. At Baylor in 2017, he was 1-11. The following seasons, 2014 Temple, he went 6-6. His second season at Baylor, he went 7-6. So we're starting to see that, the second year effect of Matt Rhule that he had at Temple and Baylor in place in year 1 with Nebraska. And it's finding ways to win, winning ugly, getting the job done, playing good defense, playing sound fundamental football, or overcoming mistakes you make when you don't play sound fundamental football. And that's a big part about college that I think really hurt them under the Scott Frost era. They would have chances to win or be in games. They would make a few mistakes, and they just couldn't find a way to recover off of that and move on to the next play. Things just always seem to cascade and just get worse and worse and worse. What we're seeing from Rhule these past few weeks, and really I think it's going to continue, is that when they get in bad situations, when they make mistakes, they find a way to come out of it. And the way you can really do that is with good coaching and good play calling, putting your guys in positions to be successful even after they make a mistake. And I think that's a credit to Rhule and his coaching staff and we're going to start seeing it work more and more and more. Look, these final 4 games of the season, I think they win at least 2. They could win 3. We'll see how the Big Ten West shakes out. There is actually a path, a somewhat viable path for Nebraska to actually represent the Big Ten and the Big Ten championship, a Big Ten West and the Big Ten championship game this year. I don't know if I'd go that far, but there's still a path there. But no matter where you sit, Nebraska fans, I got to tell you what, coming into the season, I didn't know 5 wins, 6 wins may have sounded like, hey, that's a great year. Where you're sitting right now, 5-3 with a good chance to get to 7, maybe 8, heck, maybe even 9 wins. That's got to feel pretty good. So we can tell right now, we believed in Matt Rhule. We talked about it when they hired him. We thought it was the best coaching hire out of any major program in college football. And so far, we're seeing the dividends on the field.